Tuesday night, 10 p.m., and this is the C3 Podcast.
I guess you've heard of my reputation. I've had my share of fooling around. But everybody needs stimulation.
I had fun, man. Just out, the guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
A favorite night of the week?
Good Lord, it's a good day to be a Panthers fan. And we the best. You heard them. You heard them say it. We are the best, Joe. And we put it on their mugs. Let's right in their mouth. What is up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. It's Tuesday night. It's 10 p.m., and we're talking Carolina Panthers from the fan perspective. We're going old school. We're throwing it back. Just the boys, the original, the OGs, halftime hangout with my freaking Puerto Rican, Joe Riolano. What's up, my man?
Tony, it's just the two of us. And it is old school. It just reminds me of where we were. So just a couple of years ago, just two guys love the Panthers talking about Carolina Panthers football. It is Tuesday night. It's a great night to be on. Lots of interesting stuff going on with Carolina. We've got a great show in store tonight. And please, guys that are watching or listening, don't be shy. Participate. We want to hear what you have to say. We're very interested in hearing your thoughts about some of the things going on with Carolina. So please tweet at us using the hashtag C3. We'd love to hear from you. And I want to give a shout out to your good friend and mine, Mel Mayock, a.k.a. Aaron Ford, who is not with us tonight. He is in L.A., I believe is what he said.
With his boss.
Yeah.
So good luck to you, good sir, because that's a better place to be than with us. Losing money.
Exactly.
Go make us some money, Mel. Go make us some money. No, best of luck to him. I'm sure it's nice out there in LA right now. It's been a rainy day here in Greenville, North Carolina. We got lots of people already tuning in. Thanks, everybody, for joining the show tonight. First, we're going to be shouting out a lot of things. We're going to be icing up a lot of things tonight. I'm bringing a hardcore ice up pick at the end of the show tonight. Our first shout out or second one of the show should go to Lynn, Legacy Lines, for tonight's show episode's title, Thieves Row, Chaos or Clarity. She put a lot of pressure on me earlier 2 days ago, Joey, saying, can't wait to see what the title of this show was. And it was going to be, and I was drawing a blank. So I messaged her or tweeted her. And I had to say, look, I'm crumbling under the pressure. So she helped me out. So thank you, Lynn, for that tonight. We've got a fantastic show tonight. Surprisingly, we have a ton to talk about when there really shouldn't be very much to talk about.
Exactly.
Joe, a couple of days ago, I'm on a short respite from work and much needed. Back to school to prove to Dad I'm not a fool on Thursday. But I've had a couple of days off, and I was like, hey, I need to write. I want to write. I had such a busy February, March, and April. I love to get on the computer and pound the keys away. And I hadn't been able to do it so as much as I'd like to. And it's therapeutic to me. And so I was looking for things. We had rookie minicamp. Hey, a lot of, cool things, couple of storylines, nothing big though, or should come out of a rookie minicamp. Surprisingly, we got a couple of nuggets here and there. And then big news dropped that the Panthers, again, shockingly cut a corner who was a veteran. Brandon Boykin is out of here. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to recap the Panthers rookie mini camps. We're going to talk about Damiere Byrd and the reckoning. The day of reckoning is upon us. We're bird watching, and we got plenty to talk about tonight. So that is the show that's coming in store for you. Joey, tell them how they can reach us and how they can participate in the show.
Guys, please tweet us tonight at cat_chronicles and use the hashtag C3 for any thoughts or opinions you have on any of the topics that we cover, or for that matter, if you want us to touch on something that we're missing, please send us a shout out so we can we'll be certainly more than happy to address it. Remember also, visit us at CarolinaCatChronicles.com for all your Carolina Panthers news from the fan perspective. We've got Tony's been a posting fiend here the last week, 10 days. He's put a few things out. So make sure you go there and check those out. Give them a like if you would. And also, while we're talking about the website, if you are planning on doing any shopping on Amazon, make sure you hit the shop tab in the upper part of the screen. Click on Amazon, and it will take you right to Amazon. You do all your shopping as if everything's normal. You just happen to go through our website to do it. Amazon recognizes that and kicks us a little bit of change our way. And every little bit helps here at C3, so we certainly do appreciate that.
Yeah. Also, congratulations goes out from C3 to Philly Brown. Corey Brown had I guess it says now is a papa, so I'm assuming he posted this picture of this beautiful little baby boy on Twitter, and Chandler August Brown.
That's right.
Hashtag Young King. Hashtag keep that left hand tucked and tucked, champ. Hashtag Uncle Tolbert taught me that. You know who I would say is going to teach you to keep that left hand tucked up there by the chin? Is that our boy Floyd Mayweather? Joey don't like Floyd. I love Floyd Mayweather. But, that's his style right there. But okay. So we got an email from a listener from North Carolina, from Fuquay Varina. Mario, let me get the last name right because he sounds like a good Italian kid. Mario Marchioni. Mario Marchioni sent us an email, and he is in Ecuador right now, volunteering in the Peace Corps. And he reached out to us asking about a specific player, which I have to do a little bit more research. I know it's Jones' favorite Rockhead. Guy got his nickname by knocking a dude out. He's a guy that's with a block. He's a guy that's trying to make the Panthers team as a fullback. He also was reaching out to talk about establishing a connection with the Marinos guy, Joey, that does the who is
Spanish, it? The Spanish announcers that do the
Spanish broadcaster, and his name is, and I should know it off Marinos.
Yeah, that's it.
I shot him an email, so I hooked those guys up, and they're trying to teach. He wants to teach a local soccer team about football, I believe, and he just wants to be able to listen to the games live stream. So I got him in touch with that, and it was just great to see how far Panther fans are out there. He said he loved the show, and it's a big help in a place where they have to rely on this type of broadcast like ours for the information. So thank you for tuning into the show, and we'll talk about Rockhead a little bit and some of the other undrafted free agents that are trying to make this team. So without any further ado, Joe, it's time to pop into the show with our first segment, What's Hot?
Tony.
Yes, sir.
Good night, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan and Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Like a flamethrower to this place.
What's hot on C3? Joey, I thought it was going to be rookie mini camps we were talking about. I thought we were going to talk about Damiere Byrd first, but I think the largest story, the one that's dominated the discussion for the Carolina Panthers right now is the surprise release and cut of Brandon Boykin, who was just signed on March 28th as a Panther, and really what we thought was a great free agent signing. Thought it was going to help to enhance the secondary. We've had a lot of changes since then. There's been a lot of fluctuations. Josh Norman, when that signing was happened, was considered just a foregone conclusion that he was going to play with the Panthers the next year. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Josh Norman is gone. Now we have Brandon Boykin released, cut. We right now have a starting lineup, Joey, that consists of, or actually an entire secondary lineup at cornerback position that consists of, I'll try to name them off the top of my head, Robert McClain, Bené Ben-Wickery, James Bradbury, Daryl Worley, and Zach Sanchez, Shaquille Richardson, Teddy Williams, and Lou Young. That is like a combined 8 days of experience.
Exactly.
No, Bené Ben-Wickery and McClain. McClain is a 7 or 8 year vet, maybe 9, but never been a number one guy. Was actually originally drafted by the Panthers. Mm-hmm. And then you get Bené Ben-Wickery, who's never, ever played on the outside. Those are going to be our starting 2 guys. Brandon Boykin's cut. Joey, how were you surprised by this news coming out yesterday morning?
I was surprised. What surprised me was how soon it happened. You know what I mean? I could see it happening once you get into training camp. And, you got mandatory cuts to make. I could see something like that happening then. But to have it happen right, after rookie camp is really surprising, to say the least.
Do you think, Joey, that there's a lot of talk among, I guess, even our people, the C3 people, that this signals something that they saw in the rookie mini camps? I'm completely against that idea. I don't think that, especially the way our staff evaluates people, the kind of thoroughness that they vet players and watch them in the scouting. Also, the way that we've seen Ron Rivera operate as a coach in tending to slowly integrate rookies. If you take Kelvin Benjamin outside the equation and Trey Turner, we have slowly integrated rookies into kind of the system. I can't think of another guy that we asked to step in and play a starting role. So you're trying to tell me, not you, but these people,
right,
trying to tell us that this rookie minicamp showed that we're going to be okay at this position and that we're going to be comfortable, giving Bradbury and Worley a significant amount of snaps. I don't buy that, Joey.
No, I don't either. Well, let's look at the whole picture, okay, or at least as much of it as we can see. We know that Dave Gettleman was a scout for 30 years, okay? So as far as ability goes to evaluate talent, he's got it in spades, right? We know that. He's proven it.
It's a strength. It's a strength.
Certainly. Okay. So he drafts these guys. He moves up to take, was it Worley he moved up to get?
Yeah, he got him in the 3rd, and he got James Bradbury in the 2nd. Right. Reminder, James Bradbury is from Samford University.
Right. So he moved up to get Worley. So obviously he's confident in their abilities. He sees their size, and he feels that they're going to be able to fit in our system. They're going to be guys that can come in and contribute. Not to say they're going to be starters, not Pro Bowlers, nothing like that, but they're going to be contributors, okay?
Right.
We know this. This much we can be sure of, all right? what seems more likely, that these guys are going to be able to come in and play right away and surpass the ability and experience that Boykin has had, or we're going to find out in the next couple of days the other shoe's going to drop and Boykin is going to have been arrested or had assault charges brought up against him, or failed a drug test or something like that. In the next few days, we'll find out, and then we'll know why they cut him. It wasn't based on performance or ability, but based
You
on...
don't think that would have come out already, though, Joe? That's what I see. I think that the way that usually it almost like the team finds out about this stuff last, it seems like.
No, I think, if it just... I can't believe that they saw something in these young guys that was so impressive that they were willing to let Boykin go right away, who is going to be one of the most experienced corners on the team. Really already designated with the position as the slot guy, right? That's why we brought him in to play the slot.
Yeah. And they think that Zach Sanchez guy can fill in there. Here's what I think, and it's kind of your scenario, but the conclusion's a little different. I don't know if I'm necessarily convinced, or actually I have no evidence to believe that Boykin did anything wrong, right? Nothing has changed about his film, his tape,
right?
Since the time of the draft, since before then. Dave Gettleman, again, has always said that we use free agency to set up the draft. He brought in this corner, but that was under a completely different scenario where he was taking into account
Josh
Norman being there. Yeah. So things shifted, and I understand that. I think, Joe, where I differ in this is that I think Boykin would have been crowded the roster in a way that then now I think we're going to go and get a corner in free agency. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be as loud of a splash as a name like Antonio Cromartie. Maybe a guy like Alan Ball is one name that I saw that we were interested in last year, who, remember, we had him in the building and he left and he went and signed with Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's out there. Didn't have a great season last year, but if Dave Gettleman believes a guy can prosper in the system, I think he's open to bringing that. I don't think there's any way we go into this season, and this is I just cannot buy into this idea that they saw enough in such a short amount of time.
No way.
And no pads to all of a sudden feel that this is a position that can weather a season. That's the other thing, is a lot of people are saying, and like Joan says here, she says, I think Wilkes liked what he saw and gave Ron Rivera and the DG and Dave Gettleman the okay to move forward with the rookies. This is all of these scenarios to where they think that that this is the actual plan, that progressing with this group of guys throughout the season also hinges on it working, like everything working appropriately. No injuries, no problems. There's a lot of parts here, Joey, such as, think about this. We don't know what a Sticky Wiki is going to do when he gets moved to the outside.
And not only that, we don't know how soon he's going to be able to come back and play because of how bad that injury was. You know what I mean? There's no real timetable that I've heard yet.
So you're talking about a guy who has played in the NFL with success, but we also know that Sticky Wiki has had some injuries in his 2 years with the Carolina Panthers. He had a major one, but he had a hamstring injury, I think, to start his rookie year, or a foot or something that was slowed, and they weren't going to start him anyway. They eased him into the nickel spot then. But all of his experience and success has come as a slot corner. So you're talking about like what they did with Byron Bell, moving him to a different position and assuming that it works. Then you're talking about adding Robert McClain on the other side and saying he can make a whole season and play well, and that there's no injury. And if there are injuries, what happens if one of these guys were to go down and you required Bradbury or Worley to start every game, play every snap?
Right.
I mean, there is no way in the world that I can buy this idea that James Gettleman, just saw James Wilkes, Coach Wilkes, that Dave Gettleman feels comfortable with that scenario going forward.
Right. I can't believe that either. Really, that is why I think there's something afoot here that we don't know about, and maybe it's something that we won't find out. Maybe it's something that happened, in the locker room or in the front office somewhere with
some people have said this, Joey. Some people have said that he's commented that he wanted to play with Josh Norman and he stepped. I haven't seen anything though where he stepped so far out of line.
Right.
There's no
comment like that isn't a terrible comment.
Yeah. And even this, Joey, there's no problem in the locker room. They're not even in the locker room.
Right. Technically, you're right.
I mean, they're all at home. They're all playing golf. Here's what I think too, though, is that I think if you're going to keep some spots reserved, I think this indicates that there's going to be an addition made. Maybe
we're going to make a move once we get into.
Because here's the deal, Joe, is that the slot corner is probably the easiest position of the corners to mask a weakness.
I would agree with that.
And so I think you feel more comfortable putting a less experienced guy in the corner at the nickel position.
Right. Really, your third best corner is going to be the nickel guy. And
he has to have some different attributes. He needs to be a little quicker feet, smaller.
Right.
He doesn't shift kind of small space speed rather than big and defensive like a basketball player. But I think that, and we also saw that Shaq Thompson was used at that position a little bit in the Arizona game at the NFC Championship. And he was, you saw him covering receivers and running backs and
Fitzgerald on more than one occasion. And he did well.
That's right. So I feel like you can mask that deficiency a little bit easier than you can. So what I think it says is like, hey, let's get these guys. If something goes down at that position, we can fill that with the rookies.
Right.
Sanchez in there. Maybe we have to move Boykin back. But I don't believe that you can say that we're just going to – unless Dave Gettleman is trying to throw a FU at the entire world and just say, whatever you guys think, I'm going to do it the opposite of that. But he didn't. But nobody asked him to do this, Joey.
No. This
crazy.
Right. It really is, because they went out and they got this guy. They paid him some money, and he was
not very much though. It was only.
It's not a huge loss for us. I want to say it was like 800,000. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. 845.
Yeah. So it's not a big loss. But he was your starter. He already had a position lined up for him. You know what I mean? We were coming into training camp, and he was your third corner already. So for them to say, okay, well, you're not on the team anymore, is really shocked. That's why I think there's something afoot there. There's something more.
Yeah, we only have one spot. We signed, and we'll move on. We'll kind of talk about this a little bit more as we go. We signed today. Another thing that came out, I guess the most recent signing and acquisition is Marcus Lucas,
tight end,
former wide receiver that's converted to a tight end, cleared waivers, and we picked him up from the Bears.
And again, I believe he was an original pick by Carolina.
Yeah,
originally.
And I don't know when was he drafted. I'll look it up.
2012 or 13, maybe.
Do you think that this has anything to do with we have Olsen, we've got Dixon,
we've got the new kid, the rookie,
the Sunbaum or Sunderland, something like that.
Yeah,
long name, 7th round. His name is as long as the letters in 7th round.
Right.
Which is long. And it's a long time to wait to get drafted, but he did get drafted. And I think he was injured in the rookie mini camps. But I'm trying to think, is Brandon Williams even on the roster still? You don't hear that? I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah, well, no, you're right.
Swole Bones, as most people know him, but I don't know if he is or isn't on the roster. What do you think that this suggests? I mean, what are you just creating competition at the position?
Probably.
It doesn't, to me, this doesn't do much for me. But Cam Newton, by the way, calls him Mucus.
Who called who Mucus? Lucas?
That's his nickname for him.
Mucus, Lucas?
Mucus. Like take a couple, you need a Z-Pack or you need some antibiotics to help clear out that mucus.
Like phlegm.
Somebody 10 Tizzy on YouTube says that they think Brandon Williams went to Seattle. Okay. I think I still have an old Brandon Williams signed Cam Wow somewhere.
No big loss for us.
I was waiting for him to try to get on the roster before I gave it away.
Right. We wanted to see him on the field contributing, sure.
Not just, and I thought that would be a bigger deal. All right. So rookie mini camps, we're going on from that topic. Rookie mini camp this weekend. Joey, if I was going to, how close, did you follow it closely? Because I kind of did a little bit.
Follow the rookie mini camp?
Yeah, like just honestly, the reports coming out of there.
No, I've read some reports, but to say I followed it, no, I did not follow it closely.
Okay, that's good. I didn't want you to because I want to get the perspective of someone that kind of casually watched it.
Okay.
And say, what do you think? What were the top storylines that you gathered just from glancing at it?
The biggest thing I remember from my readings is how the defensive backs coach Wilkes was impressed with Bradbury, how big he was and how smooth he was in his movements for being as big as he was.
Okay. Yeah, he said he was more polished than Josh Norman was when he was drafted.
At that, yeah. Right, that's the one thing that really
that's not to say a ton, to be honest, because it took Josh Norman 3 years before he saw the field, really.
But let's remember, Josh Norman did get a little bit of playing time as a rookie. He did see some playing time as a rookie, but the Panthers were pretty abysmal at that time, too, in the secondary and defense in general.
I'd like to ask the audience as well what they thought, what the top storylines were, because what I think, the way I saw it, Joe, is I felt like there was a ton of chatter about the guys we didn't draft, not about the guys we drafted. Didn't hear a lot about Vernon Butler other than everybody just said that man's going to be a beast, but it didn't seem like they really looked at him, focused on him. The media necessarily, kind of a story that just was there, but not the story. I even feel like the cornerback story wasn't even the story until really we started to see it become more of a story since yesterday with the Brandon Boykin thing.
Right.
It was there and it was probably a bigger focus, but I thought that what I continued to hear the most about was Kieris Garrett, the wide receiver. Yeah. And then also we heard about Damiere Byrd, a good amount about Damiere Byrd. And there was another, I was hearing like these kind of random names of guys standing out at these, that these almost like walk-on dudes. The reason I'm approaching it this way, Joey, is I found it surprising that much of the storyline wasn't about the people we drafted, but about the guys that were undrafted.
Right, the guys that we brought on as free agents, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, they were getting so much press, the pictures. I just found that, what other world is this? Like, I thought that your draft picks were the ones we're supposed to be watching.
Right. Well, I mean, you make a point, but I think that's a testament to how good this scouting staff and Dave Gettleman is, that it makes a big difference. And I guess if you think about it, it's true. your free agent acquisitions are what makes or breaks a team, because these guys are good athletes and they make contributions on special teams. And we know how a bad special teams unit can adversely affect a team, i.e.
Boy,
Minnesota.
we've been living with it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
We've
Minnesota?
been living with it for like 3 years.
Right.
We've been living with bad special teams.
It's gotten a little bit better last year. It got a little bit better. But prior to that, we were bad, man. We were flat out bad.
I thought it was pretty good in 2013 when we went 12-4.
It was better.
I felt like, well, see, here's the thing is that then Nortman was booting big punts back then.
Right. He was
like we could not pin people back.
Right.
2 years ago. It got a little bit better last year. But Teddy, a lot of penalties on special teams last year, though.
That's true too.
But you're right. These are the guys that fill in those roster holes. A couple of people commenting on Twitter. BizQuick_Vic or Victor_Lupacero. He said, didn't Norman start 13 games as a rookie? That would have been 2012, wouldn't it?
I think so.
So that would have been Cam's sophomore year?
Yes, that would have been Cam's second year in 2012. And I know he did play a good bit. I don't remember him starting 13 games. That's not to say he didn't, because my memory is shoddy. But I know he did play. I do remember that. Because it was the following years when he didn't play, we heard because he was trying to do things his way and not really, doing things the way the coaches wanted it done. So that's why he wasn't playing.
More comments on Twitter. Sean at S_CI33. He says, I saw a good bit of talk about Garrett. He looked smooth running routes. He looked like he belonged. And that's my point, is that it just was to me a little strange that these guys could be the focus of the show. It just, I don't know if we should be alarmed by that. He started 12 games in 2012, Josh Norman. 1 interception, 50 tackles. That's a decent rookie year.
He played well for being a rookie.
Yeah, and that's a lot of responsibility put on him as well as a rookie. But then I think he had trouble in 2013 when we lost to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2013.
Yes, it was his man that caught the game-winning touchdown because he was in the wrong coverage. Or he didn't know the coverage he was supposed to be in.
Okay, going back to this, remember this though, guys. The last time the Panthers started or relied on 2 rookie or second year players to play a significant time was Josh Norman in that 2013 year. They were thinking about it. And then I think the other guy's name was like Josh Thomas or John Thomas, or he was the dude that always punched people or punched the field. I can't remember his name.
Mm-hmm. I remember him. I do remember him.
And they were trying to figure out which one of those dudes were going to stick.
Right.
And then we ended up going to bringing in a bunch of old dudes. Another point to this matter, Joey, why all of a sudden change in philosophy to where you are a team that is stuck with Roman Harper at safety, who is looked at times. Yeah, he's looked at times very like he's like, I needs a walker out there. And look, he's played. I like what he's done for the team, and a testament to the coaching staff seeing that and understanding those realities. But your whole MO to this point in time has not been to use young dudes again. Also we have Melvin White that year. Sean points out as well. So I feel like this goes against the whole point of what Dave Gettleman tries to do, which is retread dudes in the secondary and get by with your front seven.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's trying to get by with his front seven, but use a bunch of kids that don't know what the hell's going on.
Well, again, we're looking at it from the outside where Gettleman has 30 years of experience, and he has watched film. He's talked to coaches. He's been one-on-one with these guys, so he knows their ability. A lot of people say in Dave we trust, or in Gettleman we trust. I think that's just it. We have to believe he's doing this for the betterment of the team.
Okay, get with that point, Joey. Is there any time to where there needs to be a thought about if this could be hubris? And I really am okay with the Boykin thing because it's the nickel guy, right? Is that if we don't bring in, I feel like, hey, if we have to bring in some sort of free agent. There's some Falcons fan is trolling our YouTube thing saying rise up on YouTube comments. By the way, it's just rise up, so it's barely a troll. But my point is that I'm under the impression I'm okay with the Boykin cut, but if we don't do anything else, I'm concerned. Right. So my initial point is this any way hubris? Like this, the Greek tragedy, the ultimate Greek tragedy, the great storytellers, Joey, and the Greek tragedy follows the same beginning, middle, and end, and that is you get this hero that has this fantastic trait or characteristic that leads him to these epic successes and these climbs, right? So it could be courage, it could be honesty, whatever trait. For Dave Gettleman, it could be scouting. Right. And he's able to repair and put these through scouting and these kind of just this grizzled 30-year veteran that can see things. But in a Greek tragedy, the very hero that saves the day, his decline, his defeat, his ultimate fall from the top was caused by his own hubris, by his own character. His character trait becomes his character flaw, Joey. Mm-hmm. So I would say if we don't bring anybody in, I would slightly worry that he's getting a little too cocky. Or do we just blind follow him? Do we just blind? If you've seen my Twitter handle, by the way, Joey, what is my picture, my AVI right now? It's Dave Gettleman for president.
Dave Gettleman for president. Yes.
So it's obviously a guy. I'm a guy. Yeah.
Yes. I don't think Dave Gettleman he's 70 years old. You know what I mean? He's not going to be YOLOing and talking about how he's
YOLOing. More like yodeling.
More like Yoda.
Yeah.
I think, he is he's confident in what he sees in these young men, but at the same time, I don't think he's not a fool. So he does plan on bringing somebody in at some point. We're gonna have to. There's just no doubt about it. We're not going to go into the season with 3 rookies in our defensive backfield. You know what I mean?
I just can't believe it.
No, We're not going to do that. We're going to pick somebody up. Antonio Cromartie or not. Maybe it is the ball guy. Maybe he's
or there's a Leon Hall is out there.
Leon Hall. I've heard that name tossed around.
But I think he's coming off an injury. Peanut is coming off a tough injury. He
wants to come back to Carolina too, I believe. He does.
But, so yeah, everybody is basically saying we're all echoing the same thing on YouTube, Twitter. Is that despite all of this talk and jibber jabber that I gave you, right? This Greek tragedy nonsense. Is that we're going to follow Dave Gettleman, as Legacy Line says, as Lynn says, we're just going to follow him into battle.
We're going to follow him like lemmings off a cliff.
There you go. Just
know where he's going. We have to
follow that dude. All right, so let's go on to the next topic. I fell over the abyss. I just saw Scott Karasik's name in the chat. And Jane Kevin says, you, Karasik and Freeman should allow us to chat like y'all are doing. Kudos. But we got $2 hot dogs. Oh, there was a story out that the Atlanta Falcons have the cheapest concessions. You know, I guess they need people to come to the stadium.
I guess so. They're going to need somebody to pay for that new one they're getting built.
Yeah, that's the truth. All right, another storyline coming out of rookie minicamp, Damiere Byrd, right? And he is, as Ricky Prohl described him, something to be reckoned with. Or he will be something. I know those are like that. I was all over YouTube and the internet trying to find a good sound clip for like the day of reckoning, but not very good. Somebody's got to work on that one. Maybe I'll work on it afterwards. But the point is that Damiere Byrd, we're a big fan. We know Susan, our friend, she loves some Damiere Byrd.
Yes,
we are ornithologists here. We've been bird watching for 2 years now, or a year and a half. Little guy out of USC, South Carolina. Joey, tell me what you know of Damiere Byrd, and I'll tell you what I heard coming out of the rookie minicamp.
Well, I'll tell you at USC, that's University of South Carolina, for anybody on the West Coast. He was fast. I'm talking like fast. Exceptional speed, exceptional quickness, pretty good hands, just a small guy. That's it. And he was, I'm sure small is relative to, the NFL. Very strong for his size, but still just not a big dude. So that was
he's like 5'9" or something, or 5'8".
Like 185, I think, is what he was in college, something like that. 5'9", 180.
He's the same size as Tyler Lockett.
Right, he's that,
but maybe 10 pounds less.
He's diminutive, to say the least.
Yeah,
but he does have speed for days. So, he was in training camp last year for the Panthers and did well. Just we were receiver. We were needing a different type of receiver from what he offered at the time.
Yeah, he is. And here's the thing: he's undrafted, a little guy, has a niche in the potential in the NFL. He has the potential. They gave him a good long look in the preseason last year. He got significant snaps in the preseason at times that were not unimportant. You know what I'm saying? When you see the quarterback that's out there, the line that was out there, the other components on the team, that usually signals to me how they're trying to evaluate a guy. If they put him out there with all scrubs, then they're just kind of just seeing what all the scrubs can do.
Right. But
if you're putting some guys that you think are on the bubble with guys that are kind of established backups, or then that shows you want to see how they can work within potentially what you may get a closer look at what they would be doing in a game scenario. We saw Damiere Byrd in that role, and he had some success. He had a couple of moments where it seemed a little bigger. The moment seemed a little big for him at times. You know what I mean? He looked even smaller because of the moment and surrounded by these big giant men. But reported by Black and Blue Review that I saw and everybody's talking about is that Damiere Byrd put on 8 pounds of muscle in the last year. Now, 8 pounds when you're 185 pounds soaking wet isn't a tremendous amount when you just think about 8 pounds. For me, like 8 pounds is like those free is that it's those $2 hot dogs and those free refills that Jane Kevin is talking about. But for Damiere Byrd on that type of frame with that type of with those handles, with that speed, that's a big deal, right? So then you hear a lot about him. You hear the coaching staff talk about him. You hear Ron Rivera first mention him. Then you hear Ricky Prohl talk about him. Then you start to see this story get a little legs. We talked to Damiere Byrd last year. Good kid. seemed to have his head in the right place, and I think we are still seeing this. We're seeing that come to fruition. I think he's got a legitimate chance to make this roster and actually contribute on this team, because the guys that he's competing with now aren't necessarily studs.
Right. And let's talk about this. Putting on the 8 pounds for him is a big thing, because he needed to get bigger to be able to play the position he wants to play, that the position he will be able to play. He needed to get bigger. But more importantly, he needed to get bigger without losing any speed. And he was able to do that. He was able to add the weight but not slow down any. And that's a big thing. I could see him contributing, Tony, on special teams in particular. At like a punt returner or a kickoff return guy, using him to, run down and make a tackle on the punt team, something like that, using his speed. Totally see that happening.
I want to say that he had something like world-class speed. Him and Teddy Williams both were guys that were brought in last year that could take Ted Ginn out in a foot race.
Right.
Now, granted, I'm going to give Ted – I don't give Ted Ginn a lot of credit on this show, Joe.
You're not president of his fan club.
No, I'm totally not. I don't have a Ted Ginn for president AVI stored anywhere. But you got to give the dude credit for 30 years old still being able to run like a 4.4.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, like he's still fast, right?
Yes.
But I think these guys have that first of all, I think they're just as fast as Ted Ginn was in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also there's a difference between being like that fast and being like kind of youthful fast. And what I mean by that is that like my kid can go play. How does a 36 holes of golf wear on a 70-year-old versus a 50-year-old? That's my point, is that like you actually did it, but can you do it for 16 games? I think there's a youthful energy that these guys have just that comes with their age. So look, these guys, if they could contribute, look, if you think about this, Joey, you're talking about Kelvin Benjamin, you're talking about Funchess, and say they Stephen Hill or Kieris Garrett, right? One of those two dudes, or even Norwood, some people believe is still an option. And I haven't seen his name anywhere, so who knows how serious that is. But those guys are big dudes that are long.
Right.
They're not in competition with guys. The competition for the speed dude, the downfield, the straight line speed is Ginn, Philly Brown, and Damiere Byrd. Am I missing anybody else that has that type? I guess you could technically say Stephen Hill, but has that type of close to that speed, maybe not as fast, but he's also coming off a tough knee injury.
Right.
So there's a little, I don't think that Philly Brown or I think Ted Ginn's spot is safe, but say there's an injury, like you said, that you can find some opportunity. They have him running reverses. They doing some things with him in practice already that they like to do with Ted Ginn Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's impossible for him to make this team. I do think it's tough, and I think he could get it would help to get some help in some other ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah, some breaks to go his way.
Right.
You don't want to say injury because you don't want anybody to get injured on the team.
No.
Yeah, you definitely. If a few things can go his way, he certainly is capable of making the team. He's got the talent. You know what I mean? It's there.
Certainly. Let me see if there's anything else we're missing out of this week's. Oh, I did forget to say that Antonio Cromartie did say that he would love to play in Carolina.
That's right. He did say that.
I would say also, Cam Newton is interested in opening daycare centers when he retires.
Okay.
Have you heard this, Joey?
I haven't.
He wants to okay, so he wants to get into the child care business, like child education and things like this when he retires. And maybe he could just go ahead and speed that timeline up and take over and watch Antonio Cromartie's kids. Right? I mean, that's like a good classroom full of children right there.
That's enough to start one daycare center right there.
I heard he had like something like 4 kids in 1 year.
Oh my God. That man is a machine.
It was like 2008. He had 10 interceptions that year.
And
he tried to have a instead of taking the ball home, he tried to take a kid home. So, all right. Any other stories? I don't think there's anything much else. I'm going to save the Rockhead / Blockhead discussion for next week because I'm going to pull up some video and try to get on with that. Also, Cam Newton has a series All In coming out on Nickelodeon. Did we talk about this last week? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
He is doing a kids show, Joey, on Nickelodeon that I think it's May 22nd. So this would be next Friday, maybe, that it debuts. And it's going to be a weekly show. Cam Newton is going to be not interviewing. He's going to be helping kids achieve their dreams. Like in a sense that these are really gifted kids already that are dedicated. They're already working hard and on the path to success. But Cam Newton is going to bring his kind of influence, his voice, and kind of that celebrity power that comes with it, and help these kids continue to craft and sculpt them and help them, like he says, to go all in on their dreams. And we're not talking about just sports players, Joey. In fact, I think the very first episode or one of the main episodes is coming out. I saw Jonathan Jones interviewed the parents and the child, a 13-year-old kid that wants to be a chef.
Oh, wow.
And so it's things like that. It's like it goes. I saw one example was a girl that wanted to be like a circus performer, like a contortionist / another kid wanted to be a fashion designer, all types of things like gymnast. Really cool. I think Cam Newton is going to flourish in this role. I think the show looks fantastic, Joey. Strangely, you're not going to hear a ton about it.
It will paint him in a good image. You know, everybody still continues to talk about stealing laptops, self-centered, I want to be an icon. People still bring up all this old stuff. So to see him working with children, trying to give back to the community, focusing on the positives and how he is able to influence people in a positive way will be wonderful for his image and should hopefully bring him some much due and overdue good news, you know, having him put in a good light.
I think one other component that is going to make us why I'm so excited about this show, Joey, and I really am. I have my kids watch it. We're going to watch it as a family. I think that it feels genuine.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel genuine. Us Panther fans, the people that are watching this podcast, listening to this podcast later on, they know Cam Newton. They know, sure, they've seen the great parts of Cam Newton. They've seen the parts that, you know, they're not bad. They're just part of Cam Newton. Right? I mean, they're not bad at all. Like what he's done. He's not out there causing any trouble. I mean, okay, you know, so he had a bad press conference is the worst thing you get out of this.
Right.
But we know that this guy really identifies with people that he knows don't have a hidden agenda.
Right.
It really is. It's almost like this complete. I don't know if he knows it, doesn't know it, conscious, subconsciously, but he's on guard against people that are just trying to get a sound bit out of him, looking for a moment where he flops or doesn't do something the way he's supposed to.
Right.
And I don't think he feels that judgment when he's with kids. And you can see him relax and let his guard down and be himself in these moments. That's why I'm excited about this show, because I know it's genuine, Joey. And I hope other people can see that translate better than things like, I don't know, Tom Brady's $200 cookbook.
Right.
$200 for a cookbook, and no Tom Brady ain't cooked nothing.
Right. He's got to cook. He's got a whole kitchen staff, I'm sure.
If you got a supermodel wife, you don't eat. Like, you look at food, you don't eat. He just browsed through the book. He never made any.
He didn't write one letter in that book.
Okay. All right. So congrats. Watch that. Tune in. All in Cam Newton. We're all in with Cam Newton. I can't wait to see it. Okay. It's that time of the show, Joey, where we sign off. We're gonna go a little long because we've got some ice up picks to launch. Joey, today for some reason we could have done a whole show of ice up picks.
We could have.
I mean, the list just kept growing and growing. And people, when I said that, everybody went berserk on Twitter, excited. They said, "You do it." Right. So one day we'll have to like do a secret episode where we just release it of a whole ice up segment show. Joey, I got blocked by a person on Twitter today. There's a lot of things going on. Joey, are there anything standing out to you that you'd like to ice up?
Well, I do have an ice up tonight. It's just one. It's one that really surprised me when I started looking into it. If your name is Bryce, the past few weeks have not been very good for you. Bryce Harper of the Washington Nationals, he was suspended for showing up an umpire during a recent baseball game. As bad as that is, which he used the F-bomb toward an umpire after the game. The incident happened during the game, and he was still miffed and went and dropped F-bomb at an umpire after the game. Anyway, as bad as that is, Harper is not my ice-up pick for this week. It's another Bryce, one that attributes his improved performance on the football field to the practice he gets when playing the John Madden video game. You heard that right, folks. Bryce Petty, quarterback of the New York Jets, claims my development shows in Madden play. Now, to me, that is without a doubt the dumbest thing that I've heard all day long. I know the game.
Well, that T-Money should be a damn T-Money 1993 should be an NFL quarterback.
I know the game is very realistic, but please remember that it is a video game. There are no live bodies flying around, no real coaches making on-the-fly adjustments, and no 350-pound defensive lineman bearing down on you. I'm befuddled at how a grown man would say he knows he's gotten better because he sees a video game and recognized the defense. To me, that seems as if a soldier would say, my development shows in my Call of Duty play. Or Kyle Busch saying he's a better driver because he plays Need for Speed on his Xbox One. This is lunacy. The improvement in his game will need to be seen on the football field, not from the couch in his living room. Petty has a real opportunity with the Jets this year, too. They haven't signed their quarterback from last season, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the door's open for the guy that can do it on the field. Now, whether that's Petty or that's Hackenberg is yet to be seen. And I'm not sure how saying you're more assured of yourself because you recognize the defensive front in Madden. Not sure how much confidence that will instill in your coaches. So my suggestion to Mr. Bryce Petty is that you put down the DualShock controller, you pick up a playbook, a tablet, or a dry erase board, find yourself a tub of ice in the training room, hop in, and ice up, son.
Well done. Well done. You know, you're right, is that this guy was a kind of a higher draft pick, too.
Yeah.
Not like top. I mean, like he was like, I feel like a third round
He was.
guy.
They brought him in to compete for the starting job. And, you know, he obviously, Fitzpatrick had a fantastic year last year. So him not being there, there was a huge hole to fill. And Petty could step in and do this if you know, he's up to it. But to say I'm better because of Madden is not the way to go about doing it, I don't think. That's just crazy.
And here, how about this? That is no way to ingratiate yourself with your coaches.
Or your fan base. Yeah, I play
You're like
Madden.
this. I went to all these meetings yesterday with my quarterbacks coach and my offensive coordinator, but then in a 45-minute game against T-Money 1993, I totally learned more about football than I did with those dudes.
Right, and instead of, watching film or reading my playbook.
He is watching film, Joey. It's live film.
I'm online playing Madden against, Joe Schmo from Albuquerque.
Awesome. No real. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so Joey, my day started out with this. It went from I thought I had a handle on my ice up pick this morning or this after midday. I ran into one which was now there's dog food trucks.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And of course, this has got to be in San Francisco or somewhere like, who knows where. But it was reported. I don't know where. I hope it's not in Raleigh. May have been. I thought, oh, this has got to be it. A dog food truck. Jesus. Because, look, I love animals. I love people. I love everybody. But I don't agree with the idea of being more sympathetic to dogs and animals than you are to humans. It's not that you shouldn't be sympathetic to dogs and to animals.
They shouldn't take priority person.
Yes, yeah. Like I know somebody was like one of my colleagues said they had a student that said something like they wouldn't stop to help a person in an accident, but they would stop and pick up a dog. Okay. So that was, I thought, this is going to be it. This is dog. Nope. Okay. Oh, overridden. Next on the list, Joe, I saw that Ja Rule is playing a macaroni grill.
He's what?
Like he has got a concert at like some sort of restaurant that's like a macaroni grill. Like
he's playing a concert at a macaroni grill restaurant?
Yeah. And so I saw some girl wrote on Twitter. She said, I'm at my desk in tears. I tweeted her back. I said, so is Ja Rule. Yeah. All right. So I thought that was going to be it. Then it goes to this girl named Jenna Thomas, who is this girl that's just complaining on Twitter, Joey. She's just complaining. Well, she's not. She's trying to make this joke about how she's a woman and that when she speaks out on the internet, people tell her the way she should feel. And, that may very well be true. But I just tweeted her. I said, guess what? That's what they do to everybody on the internet, not just women. Like if I put my opinion out there, people tell me I'm a dumbass too. Or that I'm,
it's not exclusive to her.
Right. Now, and then she was like, oh, really? So when you put your opinion out, do people call you a bitch? That's what she said to me. I said, no, but they if you want to really feel how people want to handle the internet, go on Reddit. Mm-hmm. They'll really make you treat you like if I misspell something, people are telling me I'm an idiot. So I was just trying to politely say, and then she comes at me and says, look, you're proving my point. You're a random dude who's coming up here. I said, I'm not trying to tell you how to think. I'm just telling you this is that we on Twitter, you're speaking out into the void and anybody. She said some random dude. Like I said, if you don't want random people comment on your mess, go to Facebook.
Right.
Well, you're friends with you're only talking with people you know. The whole point of Twitter is to open your conversation up to the public.
Right.
So she comes back she ended up blocking me. And when she started copping that, I said, well, you know what? I was polite, but now since you're copping an attitude, the reason you're getting called out is not because you're a woman, but because you're a bitch ass Falcons fan. That's what I told her. And then I got blocked. But all right. All of that, Joey, has been superseded by something that happened when I was riding in the car with my wife. She's reading this story. Now, I have to preface this with, I am a moderate. I stand moderate on political issues. And if I lean one way, it's probably to the left. Okay. I am completely about individual liberty, individual freedom. I like the whole separation of the state from your personal life and all of that matters. I feel like I advocate for a lot of people that don't have interests in common with me. So I appreciate these types of things. Joey, there's a movement right now, though, however, that has really grinds my gears. And this is that there is this talk about trying to get the next Frozen movie that Elsa needs a girlfriend instead of a boy, like that this princess story needs to be one that teaches the lesson of two mommies or that of your sexual identity, can be of different, whatever the appropriate wording for that is. I'm actually completely cool with the way people live their lives. I don't want to make any moral claims about or any judgments, because I feel we all have our own crosses to carry and bear. And, we all carry them. But here's the thing. We were out antique shopping because my wife is getting into this like farmhouse theme and stuff. And we were at like a flea market trying to look for some old gems or some nuns there. And this old like crazy dude, this crazy like toothless idiot starts trying to like court my children into buying toys. And I was like, dude, don't be teaching you're trying to get into my kid's head rather than, I'm the one that's paying for it. Right. So he was, all right. So to make this analogy out, there is a hashtag that says this: give Elsa a girlfriend. And they're trying to force this issue into this animated kids film. I don't know if it's serious. I don't know if this is just a couple of crazy people, like that are just on the fringe that are trying to make a big deal out of this. Maybe it has no traction. But Joey, if it does, this hashtag give Elsa a girlfriend movement, I want you, like that toothless dude, to get out of my kid's business, because look, I don't want my kids dealing with heavy social issues, these very complex things at such a young age. Like, I don't want them worrying about these things that are a burden to society, and not that is a burden to society, but like with us individually, all have like a lot of stuff in society that's heavy, right?
Right. And it's not right for somebody else to do this. This is something that you and your wife need to address with your children in private at the appropriate time.
And if it was there, dude, here's the thing: is you can't force it into the capitalistic world. If there really was a demand for this, like this being something. Like, it's not, you're like forcing the issue rather than letting the issue naturally come up.
All right. Yes.
That's what so to continue on this point, and this is where my really ice up pick goes, is because I don't really care. I just don't want my kids dealing with things that are so complicated and when they're 4.
Right.
So if this is so important to these individuals to press these issues, because I saw, if you pull the hashtag up, and I think I had it pulled up over here, this is one of the tweets. Hashtag give Elsa a girlfriend because straight people aren't the only ones to deserve a fairy tale romance. Okay. So what this person is saying is that this movie needs to teach these kids like these life lessons, essentially, is what they're saying. And this is an opportunity to teach these life lessons to children, and they're going to run into those. May very well be, but if we're going to teach that life lesson, let's consider some other heavy life lessons that we may need to teach, Joey. So instead of hashtag give Elsa a girlfriend, hashtag give Elsa cancer. Hashtag give Elsa bad credit. Hashtag give Elsa halitosis. Hashtag give Elsa rising health insurance premiums, Donald Trump as a president, 2 bratty kids and an ex-husband, 2 bratty kids and an ex-wife, a mortgage, a job, a drug problem, decisions she has to live with and learn the consequences of, A mom that meddles in her relationships. Hell, give Mickey a boyfriend and name him Dickie. You can call him Robert for all I care. Give Elsa a bastard child. Give Elsa depression. Give Elsa erectile dysfunction. Give Elsa the Cleveland Browns, Joey. And last of all, when you pile all this heavy crap on 4-year-old and 5-year-old kids that should be having fun instead of having to deal with all this mess that their people are putting on them and these political agendas when you're a child, before you get that pressure, I say this. Hashtag give Elsa the starring role in the newest feature from Disney, Lesbolina. And to you, I say, ice up.
Ice up, Pixar, or whoever does Ice Age.
I mean, good Lord, I don't want to watch a kid. You know, who wants to deal with that? Like, here, your country is falling into debt. Give Elsa a job. Anxiety. Jesus. Make her overweight.
It is. It's a shame. It's a shame. The shame is things like this don't allow our children to be children. It makes them grow up way faster than they need to. And that's the point, Tony. You want your children to enjoy their childhood and to be children as long as they can. You don't want anything other than that for your kids. You know, it's not right that they should have to address an issue like that being 4 years old. You know, they can't wrap their minds around that.
No, they shouldn't have to.
Right.
That's my thing. That's the whole point. You're at the movies not to do that. That's like saying this. Let's watch How to Make a Murderer with our children.
Right.
And I'm not comparing that act to that, Joey. Like, I'm not saying that people that have this issue is comparable to any of that. What I'm saying is this is just heavy.
It is.
Like, you know, what if they said this is that, what if they said, give Elsa a kid and they showed her like birthing her through the birth canal? You know, like in pain, screaming at her husband or a girlfriend. So
all kinds of fluids going everywhere.
I just show them how babies are really made. No, start comes, man. We hugged each other until love made you.
Right. Exactly. That's right.
Ice up, Elsa. Everybody. All right. So this is the C3 podcast. Joey, tell them how they can get after you and us as I try to figure out how to get us out of here.
Folks, this is the C3 podcast, and you can reach me on Twitter at Joe Riolano anytime. I love talking football. I love talking Carolina Panthers. And Anthony can be reached, Tony, aka the professor, can be reached at cat_chronicles. And look, we're always glad to answer questions, take comments. If you feel so strongly about something, you want to put a post up on our site, let us know. Put it together, send it to us, and we will gladly put it up on our site. We're here for you guys. We're fans doing it.
That's right. This is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can check us out every Tuesday night live on YouTube. Thanks for joining the show. Thanks for being a part of the C3 family and Panther Nation. If you can, subscribe if you haven't already. Give us a share. Like us on iTunes. Whatever you do, however you get it, let us know and let your friends know. Or else we may have to ice you up next. All right, that's the C3 podcast. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next week.